Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Streaming Star Wars, episode 31, July 31, 2020. I'm Pete Fletzer, and tonight I'm joined by my guest host, the lovely and talented Gerry, the Canon Junkie Cable. How's it going, dude?
Pretty good, man. How you doing? You know, I don't
good.
often get beautiful
Yeah.
and talented.
Yeah, no, you're pretty, man. You're a pretty man.
I don't get thank you. I'll take that. I'll take that as a compliment. You know,
how's it going? How's life? Things are going good for you?
It is going about as well as it possibly can these days, man. You know, it is just it's the perpetual Saturday we all live in. You know, I've been calling it. It's just okay, what day is it? Oh, it's August. Okay, cool.
Today is August. That's right. Yeah, no, it's been a little bit wild, but there's been also, it's funny. It seems like streaming Star Wars on Friday has become sort of a little bit of a wild ride. Sometimes sometimes we start on time. Sometimes like last week.
Sometimes Gerry is co-hosting.
Yeah. Well, sometimes. Oh, Gerry, this is your second. You must have passed the audition the last time because you're back, which is really good. I'm really glad to have you back, man. This is cool.
It's good to be back. I fooled you guys. You have to say fool me twice. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on the. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is, but it's we're doing good. But so we're not going to be doing the Mando rewatch this week. We're going to put that off only because over the last 2 weeks there has been just so much Star Wars stuff coming out. So many DisneyPlus leaks and rumors. So first of all, if you are averse to leaks and rumors, turn this off now because we're going to be speculating and we're going to be making stuff up and we're going to be talking about all the stories we've heard and trying to draw some lines and some connections. And it's pretty wild. And I guess we could start with sort of what we had in the thumbnail for this particular episode is that it really feels like the future of hello kitty cat. He
joins me every episode now.
It does feel like the future of Star Wars is DisneyPlus. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, it feels like that's where we're going to get the majority of stories. They're really trying to save the films for like right after they got us used to like having a film a year, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And even like pushed back episode 9 and stuff. They're like, we're gonna make it a couple years in between films now. We're gonna get. Gosh, I don't know. We've known that they just like since Mando worked, and even before we knew Mando would work, we were like, they've got lightning in a bottle here. It seems like, and why would you not? Like they were announcing all these series, like Marvel and all that stuff, but there's so much that you can do, and you can take these people who have played these characters, who are, loved by the fans, and take their characters and just, expand on it for 9 hours or however long,
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I think is kind of interesting because we have, when one of the great things about Mandalorian to me was that, we've talked to you when you have Star Wars films, you get the 2+ hours, then you wait 2 to 3 years, and then you get if you look at Mando that way, you basically got 2 movies in 2 months, right? You got 4 hours worth of content, 4.5 hours worth of content, a really well put together story that had a beginning and an end, right? Obviously we're set up for season 2, but there was you're in a position where you're getting a lot of story, and so it feels like not only is that where they're going, but it feels like a comfortable place to be. I think.
I think so too. I was always under the. I know there's a lot of consensus, and I don't know where you fall on this, Pete. Really, a lot of people were like, "Oh, they should have waited a couple years between each movie and released them." Especially after Last Jedi started, cause like fanboys started to lose, their minds on it. And Solo underperformed for some people. And, you got all these people finding it on streaming now going like, what is this? I was always of the camp that I thought they could keep hitting it out of the park.
Yep.
frankly. Even if they did one movie a year,
Yep.
Again, ever the optimist. It could be my blueberry gin lemonade talking. I don't know.
But it's funny because it's where we're at right now is, Disney bought Lucasfilm in 2012. No, yeah, it was 2012.
Yeah.
And then we all kind of had this Marvel type expectation. We expected to see a Star Wars movie every year, and we got a Star Wars movie every year. And then some people say Solo failed. That's probably a different conversation, but either way, and people pin the changing of the schedule on that. But I'm okay with it. I think if you give me something half as good as Mandalorian, and I'm going to be very, very satisfied, I think, as a Star Wars fan.
Absolutely. I mean, especially if the things that, and not to segue into anything too early, but if the rumors are true, like, I am loving what they're starting to come up with, give me all of that. Like, it just, any story, any character, new characters, old characters we love. Like, this is the place. It's the playground. DisneyPlus is the playground.
Absolutely, without a doubt. Let me quickly give a shout out to all the folks who are joining us tonight. We got Matt Harrington, we got Jacob's Quest, Framey, Mr. Rez, Vader's Girl, Gilster, Matt Harrington, D. Raven Spencer's with us. And how are you doing? Semper Fi Danny from Canada. We have Canada represented this evening. Matt Harrington.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
We'll talk about Star Wars, eh? And Nick Milky, how's everybody doing? So glad to have you all here. Make sure to be commenting. I'm going to be watching the comments down the side here as we go. We got a pretty full house. Tell your friends, tell your family, tweet about it, and see how big we can get this going. So
some cat lovers. There's a cat on screen.
There's literally a cat in this particular episode.
Just watch what he does. I don't know what he's going to do. It's unpredictable.
That's reason to watch right there. I mean, sure, you get opinions and conversation about Star Wars, but you have a random cat. I mean, that's anything.
Some say I am the Steele Saunders of Beyond the Blast Doors. So,
who exactly said that?
No one. I just did right now. I know he has a cat. Named Gerry. So
his cat's named Gerry. Really?
His cat is named Gerry.
Is it named after you?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I don't think Steele's that big of a fan of me, but
not yet.
Not yet is the key word. That's right. Hey, Steele.
But we do, and Steele was actually on the show last week. Last week was kind of funny. I'll hit this real quick for those of you who missed it. I was a little bit concerned because last week we did this thing where we had Steele on the show and we were having some technical difficulties, and then we finally got over them and we started the show and things were going and we're 20 minutes in, and I look over and I realized that I hadn't started the broadcast, but we had a great pre-show, so that was a lot of fun for us. And then finally we were able to.
Even Stephen Colbert and the professionals do like a rehearsal, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's what the pros do.
Yeah, right. So we were just being as professional as we possibly could. Yeah.
And because I'm on the show as unprofessionally as possible, I skirted in at the last minute. So we're good.
No, I'm really glad you're here tonight.
I'm so glad to be here. I'm glad you guys are all in the chat as well.
Yeah, it is. It's a packed chat. This is really great. So
I'll keep the cat petting to a minimum.
Yeah. So maybe that's why people are here. I'm not sure. So I actually, I wanted to make sure I'm literally putting on the screen all the things that I want to make sure we chat about today, because there's so many different things going on. It all happened in like this 2-week window. It was funny. I had Noah and Corey on Around the Galaxy 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, and they sort of said, yeah, well, I think fans of Solo are going to be happy in the next couple days, and and then of course they
become some pretty awesome scoopers in their own right. It feels like
absolutely. It's interesting. They seem to have picked up a void that was left by places like Making Star Wars and things like that fell off the planet for good reason. And but it's really interesting. And one of the things that we talked about with Corey and Noah, and I'd love to get your thoughts too, Gerry, is I even saw in here, I think it was Matt Harrington who said he doesn't believe, or maybe it was Gilster, doesn't believe 90% of the leaks. What are your thoughts on this leak culture? Like if you just look across the bottom of the screen here, we're talking about Mando trailer, Tarkin, Hayden, Lando. This seems to be the way Disney's getting the news out. Do you think it's intentional? What's your hunch on that?
I don't know if it's intentional necessarily, but there are leaks, and then there are what I believe we are getting, which are maybe a little, let's see how they feel here and there,
Yep.
The thing with the Lando and just anything that has to do tertiarily with making Solo 2 happen, as we all hashtag make Solo 2 happen.
Yep.
As you guys guys all in the chat, let's get it hashtag make Solo 2 happen going. But maybe they want to like kind of float some of those kind of things out there to see if it really is as fever pitch as they know. John and them have said, was it James was at the press event for Rise of Skywalker, and they were saying like, John Kasdan and all of us, we know about make Solo 2 happen, and we love it. And I don't know, man, I just really, some of the sources these things are coming from.
Yep.
It's not just like we got this covered, or
well, that's the thing. Yeah.
Dare I say Voldemort's name, Doomcock or whatever,
Right.
It's not that kind of leak. Like it's not a Mike Zero, like Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to have Darth Maul makeup and horns, and he's going to have robot nipples, like it's
hashtag robot nipples.
More legit.
Yeah. Well, no, and it's true. It's that's one of the things that Noah mentioned on my show was that, hey, the Bad Batch leak was easy. He said if he was going for clicks, he would have gone for, hey, there's going to be a High Republic series or something that's a little bit more out there, right?
Something to tie into the books and stuff that they're talking about. They're almost playing it like a Shadows of the Empire kind of an event. So
yeah, and I think we're the leaks that tend to be coming out, I think maybe as fans we're just getting smarter, and I don't know. I rarely say that about myself, but I think we're starting to recognize, that when Mike Zero gets up there and talks in his monotone, and it's literally he's making stuff up. It's like it would be a wonderful idea if this happened or that happened, and
it's like he just looks at random maybe things in his room and goes, Palpatine marries a chair. Right. And then they have space babies that turn out to be televisions.
Yeah. So, but but it's interesting that I think Disney would benefit from just giving us a little bit more information about the things that are definitely happening, and that would perhaps quell some of this leakage. My other concern and question, and I'd love to hear from the people in the chat and hear from you too, Gerry, is do we feel like the things that have leaked are the season 2, for example, Mandalorian Baby Yoda, right? Have we had some major things spoiled that would have been the big surprise, or do you think it's sort of putting out the breadcrumbs that will lead to a bigger surprise once the show gets started?
I almost see it like when we all saw the Rise of Skywalker trailer, and J.J. Abrams, of all people, put Palpatine's laugh at the end.
Yeah.
I almost always go to that feeling of, if they're giving this, or if this is out, then what is being kept closer to the vest? But, there could be, like, Ahsoka could have been like a big reveal.
Yeah.
Something,
well, but that's the one thing I think that bothered me most about the Rise of Skywalker trailers and things like that was literally every big surprise, other than the Rey is a Palpatine. And I know this is about Disney Star Wars, but or Disney Plus Star Wars, but this is important because I think it's related to the way their information is getting out. Other than
Right.
Rey as a Palpatine, you knew that all the ships were going to show up at the end. You knew Chewie didn't die. You knew,
That's true.
you saw the big fight, and so so from that perspective, and I don't know if that's a JJ thing or not, because Filoni and Favreau, I don't know how many bodies there are buried somewhere in, outside of Skywalker Ranch, so that people didn't tell that the baby that they were protecting was a Yoda species child. Because even, and I said this, I think last week when Dominic Pace was on my show, and when I spoke to Dominic before he was even on the show and before The Mandalorian started, and he said to me, he said, all we know is that we're protecting, there's some sort of child that and I was like, so you kind of blew that, but I didn't know what it was, and I never put two and two together. I never thought what we were going to see was that. But I just wonder, because if we are getting maybe Cobb Vanth, or if we are getting anybody from Clone Wars, even Ahsoka we're pretty sure we're going to get, and if we have Tamura Morrison, we're going to get some clone or more than one. But what else can we get that's going to make us go whoa? Like, because that moment of Baby Yoda was the amazing moment.
That is like the modern Marvel of, that's the Marvel of modern Star Wars. That is the big reveal,
right?
Out of anything, I would even put that above Rey Palpatine, because that did at first land a little flat for me. Again, you guys, if you listen, let's go watch the Bombad Cast. Listen, you can hear my thoughts on that. You guys know I'm like a relentless optimist, not a pessimist.
That would be the opposite of pessimist.
I'm still like, how did they they must have had EMPs on set that would like constantly keep everyone's phone down, or like turn in your phone now, and like someone like frisking people every 10 minutes or something, like to make sure that no one snuck a phone on, to make sure. But it is just, I still am just flabbergasted, and I know, talking about things being revealed, and obviously things can be like leaked too soon, and ruined for us. I will say though, it depends. Like, context is everything, right?
Yep.
Like you said, with the ships and stuff showing up in Rise of Skywalker,
I
still teared up a little, honestly, at that moment. When they like come in and it plays the classic theme with it's just the Star Wars theme.
Right.
Have we gotten since A New Hope, or even in a movie before? Like, it's just,
I'm not sure, but
sorry, I'm getting into feelings on that, but what was the question? I don't know how they kept.
Where I'm going is, I wonder
if they could do that. Why can't they keep anything else? It's like, some of this has to be a little deliberate, I would feel.
Yeah. I think you're right. And I think, one of the things that has been great about the gallery series, and if anybody, that's one of those things where I think a lot of Star Wars fans tend to be behind the scenes fans, just sort of as a general rule. But if you haven't watched that, you have to watch it, and not necessarily just to get more Mando in your life as we prepare for season 2, but just to kind of see the thinking and the way things are done, and to that end, I feel like there is something coming, right? I think there's Jacob's Quest here says the only two twists he can imagine for season 2 that are remaining would be the reveal of Baby Yoda's purpose and Moff Gideon's secret identity. And while I think he's probably right on that, I think I think we know that's going to happen. I just hope we don't know what it is beforehand. And Framey, I love this, because I think this is one of those things that we're forgetting about. And I wonder if this guy has been on set or anything, but to find out what Doc Pershing's deal is what Framey says. And I mean, it was an amazing pickup by a Star Wars nerd somewhere before I got to it.
Gosh.
And I was so impressed when the patch on his shoulder, right? And that's,
was that Alex Damon?
It probably was Alex. It probably was.
Maybe. I mean, all of us were like, "Whoa, wait!
Yeah,
wait! That looks like the Jango Fett thing, or that looks like Tamira Morrison's Ghostbusters patch." But there are a lot of things that can be revealed. We can get Baby Yoda, like the child's name could be revealed this season. You know, we could be seeing, and now that I'm saying this stuff, we're not gonna be surprised. You know, we could see more Yoda's species. We could see the home planet. What if we make it there here and he drops him off? You know, like I don't know. Like we may not get that for a while. How long is the show running? You know,
yeah. So the only thing,
obviously, it's getting good accolades. They want to keep. Disney is going to want to keep it going for a while, right? But
yeah,
you've got good storytellers here. They don't want to like stretch it out, right?
Well, yeah, yes and no. I think so. Like for example, I have it on pretty good authority that season 3 is already, you know, being either been written or it has or is, you know, being planned. So I don't think it's going to end after season 2. So then the question, and I wonder, you know, none of us give your cat some privacy for God's sakes.
He doesn't get.
He doesn't care. Thing, so. Maybe he's into this sort of thing. He's like, oh, it's a
webcam.
Might
be. Maybe he is like he's showing his butt right now. So he's sleeping.
Okay.
He's like, oh, I got to look my junk real quick.
But so yeah, I don't know how far we're going to go, and I think if there was plans at any point to have the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda part ways, I would say the popularity of that character and that as a toy and as a merchandising piece, he's not going anywhere. I don't think he'll be dropped off this season. But interesting, as I said the word merchandising, I saw somewhere on Twitter, and I thought this was a brilliant comment. Right, so a lot of people are trying to base the success and failure of Star Wars on merchandise sales, right? All the Doomcocks and the it's just funny to say that, dear. It feels but the people who are going who love to beat up Star Wars, the geeks and gamers, they say, well, none of the merchandise is selling. None of the merchandise is selling. Well, Baby Yoda merchandise is selling immediately, and it sells out as soon as it comes out, and they put story ahead of merchandising. They put impact ahead of merchandising, right? The fact that they didn't, the only real Mandalorian toys that were out were there was a Lego set from episode 4, and it had him, and it had the Mando, and it had Cara Dune, and then there were some pops of some characters that we knew were coming. And then a Black Series figure of the Mandalorian.
I kicked my trash can down here. Excuse me. The carbonized Mando, very coveted and stuff.
The coveted, but they didn't pre-expose Baby Yoda. So I don't think we can use merchandising as success or failure anymore. I think it was
not
a risk,
lot of movies
right?
even do it anymore. Hardly. If they do, they have a few figures. Seriously, figures have went down in quality in order to save. Like they're trying to be more eco-friendly with figures now, and they're not as detailed as they were back when the Phantom Menace figures came out. Honestly, the Force Awakens figures, like the Rebel or the Resistance Trooper, he had a visor that was just painted yellow and like attached to the face. It wasn't even like clear with it, you know. I'm complaining now, but anyway, yeah.
But it's
just something they don't do anymore. They do more like digital stuff, you know.
Yeah. So I think I think that I think there will be secrets left. I think we will be surprised by something. My biggest concern is that there will be a little bit of disappointment in what we actually get from Ahsoka or what we get from Tamora, or if we, you know, whatever character is going to be played by Timothy Oliphant, who somebody in here. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. I'm trying to dig through the comments to find you, but it was Matt Harrington who said that Timothy Oliphant, he hopes that the rumors are true because he loves him. He's one of his favorite actors. Tombstone. Phenomenal. I love that.
Yeah.
So So let me ask you, and only because I haven't had you on the show since these rumors have started.
Right.
Who do you think was at the end of episode 5? Whose boots were those we saw walking over the body of the Fennec Shan?
Oh, Fennec Shan. Yeah. I think on Honestly, Cobb Vanth. What do you think, Jack? You're too young to drink that.
The cat has an opinion. It's important.
Honestly, Cobb Vanth. I like Boba Fett for a little bit when we were getting the Tamura Morrison. I still think Boba Fett is. Go read my lovely article, the first and only article I've ever written for Beyond the Blast Doors for anybody, honestly, about Star Wars. I need to get on that though. I need to write another one sometime. But we were getting all those crazy, like, Tamura Morrison's in it. Like Boba Fett is in it. A lot of people are like, it's Boba Fett, or is it Rex, or who is it? And it's Ahsoka and all these other people. Like, whoa, Bo-Katan. Why are you putting all these people in there? Whereas they fit, right? They fit.
Yep.
And I don't know. I just really think that that was Cobb Vanth, because one thing I look like I'm the biggest Cobb Vanth fan in the world. If there was a T-shirt, I would probably own it.
I'll make one and put it up there for
there you go. We need to get one on one of our TeePublics or something.
Yeah.
But, honestly, what geeks me about it is just the cohesion that I think is going to start happening now that the sequel trilogy is done, of all of the canon together, like having like book characters and cartoon characters start to slip into the live action shows, or slip into characters in the television shows slipping in the books. We've already got the Mandalorian going.
Let me throw something at you though, and because we talked a little bit about it last week, so if you were with us last week, I apologize if we're doing this again, but I think it kind of goes with everything else we're hearing, right? Just because there's so much going on, and it does feel like Star Wars on television, DisneyPlus Star Wars, or as Gene Simmons said, Star Wars cable. According,
was it Gene or was it? It was Gene. Sorry, Paul is just a big part of the show, so I just always attribute to
him. But one of the questions, one of the points is that I'm curious about is, because you're attracting a broader audience, right? Again, keeping in mind, like, the reason I had issues with The Rise of Skywalker were for details and things that I know from the books and the comics and the conversations I have on Twitter. But the reason my dad and my best friend from high school loved The Rise of Skywalker was because the Emperor was in it and there were lightsaber battles, right? And so how do you, like, Cobb Vanth is a really cool story and a cool concept of this, what did he buy? He bought the armor from, you're the canon junk. He bought the armor from Jawas.
Like, and I don't even know if he bought it or he he bought it. Yeah. Cause he's a anti-hero sort, but he like really, I don't know. Yes, more Watto, Gilster. I am 10%. Gilster. I want all, me. I want all of those characters everyone hates. Redeem them. Bring the Gungans in. Stop being afraid.
I want to see Watto in the Obi-Wan series. I want to see
that. You know how sick that would actually be, though, to get a little more context.
He'd have a little more beard, right? Because by the time we saw him, he was getting a little scruffy, and he had the hat.
He's gonna look like he's been hanging out with the guys from Duck Dynasty, right?
But how do we? Oh yeah, we were talking about how. Thank you, Gilster. Thank you very much for the super chat, dude. That's really awesome. Thank you very much. You did that last week too. You are the man. And Gilster, by the way, you're I sent out your Beyond the Blast Doors stickers today. It was a couple days late, but they're out in the mail. They're headed to you as we speak.
Good luck finding a place to put them. I can never decide where I want to put a sticker. They're all on the back of my laptop. I'd turn it around and show you, but you couldn't see it right now.
I know my laptop is like,
that is really what mine looks like.
Starting to get worse and worse.
It looks like the amp of the big half stack of the guitar player of the band I used to play in. It's just, that's what it looks like. You know how it is. Guitar case, I stick it on there.
Yeah, you put every concert sticker on there.
Instead of bands, we're just putting like Star Wars podcast stickers on.
It's the same thing for us at this age, at this point.
Honestly,
it is kind of the same.
It feels the same.
But where I was going with this is how are we going to how do they tell the Cobb Vanth story, or do they expand the story and make it so, like, if he shows up, right? You and I know who he is, and we know that little backstory, right? Even though we didn't go into detail there, but you can find
Right.
it. It's out there. But if somebody sees Boba Fett armor, they're gonna be like, "That's Boba Fett," and then they're gonna have to explain. No, well, here's the thing: it's not really Boba Fett, but it's Boba Fett's armor, and we don't even know if Boba Fett was really a Mandalorian or if he was, So, like,
Right.
but for the average fan, the common man who's watching Disney Plus, um, like, it almost has to be Boba Fett. It almost has to make it so simple, make that line so clear, because if you're going to do that and introduce Ahsoka and introduce Bo-Katan and Rex and blah blah blah, it's going to get tough for people who are not,
Well,
unless the story tells that story, right? Unless
right.
the Mandalorian story shifts, maybe the stories become longer, the episodes become longer.
Right.
I'm not sure how they go that route.
Well, it depends. Like, would we have said that a year ago about the Darksaber showing up?
Well, but here's the thing with Darksaber, and I believe.
Oh, it's a lightsaber. Like that's
Well, but here, yeah, I feel like Darksaber, I think in the first episode, and that kind of is sort of what Giancarlo Esposito said in his interview, which I have here somewhere. He said, we're going to find out what it is. Now, here's the thing. So for my dad, I always use my dad as the reference, because my dad is a Star Wars fan, but he watched The Mandalorian because it was on, but he's not like he's a loves Star Wars, but not to the extreme that those of us who are sitting on a Friday night in a live video talking about Star Wars are, right?
My mother, my family, we would go watch them. All my family, my extended family, we go watch these movies together.
Yep.
None of them host a Star Wars podcast or go and talk on they don't spend their Friday nights drinking gin-filled blueberry lemonade.
But it sounds like a great idea, though.
But amazing.
So I believe like they can very easily say in the first episode, the Darksaber, whoever has the Darksaber is the ruler of Mandalore. And that's all they need to say, right?
Excalibur for Mandalore.
Right. So my dad's like, oh, okay, I get it. Wow, it's important that he has it. I can see why the Mandalorian would be interested
the whole thing about, because they've already set up how the people know what Jedi are.
Right.
They know what Jedi are.
Yep.
They know Baby Yoda has the Force, and the Mandalorian kind of doesn't know what that is.
Yep.
But they've already set up that they're enemies with the Jedi, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So then you just say, this saber came from one of the only one of our kind of the Mandalorians to be a Jedi. You basically tell the story we got in Rebels from a different perspective or whatever.
Yep.
Which honestly is, again, I think there's going to be all the threads connect for me with even Cobb Vanth. And, in my, or I don't know if I said it in the chat or in our network chat, or if I said it actually in my article. The reason I really am like, oh crap, that's Cobb Vanth, is because it wasn't full Boba Fett armor, but it was also, it was the spurs.
Yep.
Right. It was the long coat, which is almost very cowboy-esque, and they played him very cowboy-esque.
Yep.
But the first shot of season 2 stuff that we got from Favreau was a maquette of a shirtless Gamorrean guard who was looking very good, rather better than the ones that were kind of slovenly around Jabba's palace.
Right.
One of the big things you know of Cobb Vanth's story is it's a bunch of slaves. They started a town called Freetown.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert. They take these slaves and they started this like little backwater Wild West town out in the middle of the Tatooine desert.
Yep.
He's the sheriff, and he took in Malakili, the Rancor Keeper.
Yep.
To raise a Huttlet, go wild with that.
Yeah.
I think he took in like all these Jabba's palace people. I think we got that maquette because that is someone like that's like the blacksmith at the Wild West town. We're already in a Western, like making something, and they took in Shand because she was someone hurt in the desert.
Yep.
And he's like, don't cross us or whatever. But I don't know. I think they're going to tease Boba Fett the whole season. He's not going to come in till maybe halfway in. And you're going to think that's Boba Fett, but then it's like, whoa. And then he's going to explain who he is and what they're doing.
Yep.
There is a way to do this where you don't have to go, okay, you need to go back and read all those books.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That came out right before Force Awakens and Last Jedi.
Yeah.
They're amazing. But again, I don't know. I'm always like, there's always a way, and I want to see them take this stuff because people are like, I watch stuff with my mom. She loves to watch these things with me and me go like, oh, that's blah, blah, blah. And I give the backstory and then I go, but that's my mother, I guess it would depend your father, whoever, like, it's just all they got to go is like, oh, I'm blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I bought this armor from the Jawas. Yep. Oh, okay, cool.
Right.
Right. At least this is how I see it going. So
yeah, well, and that's the advantage to a series, right? You don't have to try to cram it into a two. You can take 4 minutes out of right.
That's the luxury we get with this, right? So I cut you off. Go ahead.
No. You're right. It's you do get that. You can take 4 or 5 minutes explaining that, and it doesn't kill the whole story, does it? But I think, and this is why I'm so happy with Mandalorian and why I still struggle with Rise of Skywalker, because Dave is not going to allow it to just be, oh, some guy's got Boba Fett armor, right? It's gonna be like, wait, no, there's actually a story here. We'll plant it, but
yeah,
it's like and this is another.
He never wants it to be easy. He's tricky. He's tricksy. Just
well, so somebody said, and it might have been, I think it was in the chat last week, and whoever said it, it was brilliant. And it was, has Dave Filoni actually ever done a show about what the title is, right? Clone Wars was about, more about Ahsoka's journey than anything else. The Clone Wars were the background to Ahsoka's journey and to fill in some of the gaps between the prequels. Rebels, sure, it took place at that time and they were helping the Rebel Alliance, but that was a Jedi story. That was a Force story. And Mandalorian, hey, we all thought it was just going to be some guy out in the desert looking for bad guys, and it changed at minute 31 of episode 1. Everything changed. So
that whole, oh my gosh, you remember the first time you saw that?
Oh, it was. I
cursed in my living room. I was like, "What?"
yeah, it was, and again, so that's back to sort of the beginning. Like, how do we get that sort of event again? And the question is, does season 2 need that? Right, like Game of Thrones, for example, really bad example because of the way it ended. A lot of people aren't happy with it, but I love the series. I loved it. I loved 7 and change seasons worth of Game of Thrones, and honestly, I'm okay with the ending. I just feel like it was rushed. I'm not
sorry. They made a joke about that on me and my wife watched the Choose Your Own Adventure Kimmy Schmidt movie on Netflix. If you have not watched Kimmy Schmidt, if you are a fan of Tina Fey's humor, it is created and written by Tina Fey. Holy crap! They made like there was like a crazy person. They were like, "Oh, I also helped write Game of Thrones season 8 or whatever." Oh my gosh, it was great. Anyway. I think we're very spoiled these days, right? We've got a lot of good all the good stories happen on streaming services, on television, right? It's extended series, which again, there are good stories to be told. I still love going to a theater and sitting for 2.5 hours at the most, or whatever. 2.5 hours and losing myself in a film. Like, I love seeing just even one-off films that are resolved by the end, That's just part of the magic. And we've lost a little bit of people are more like, because of a lot of these series, a lot of people who don't really, go to the movies, or they go to movies a ton, but they don't like the whole 2.5 hour thing. They're always like, well, they didn't give enough of the backstory of this person because we're so used to Game of Thrones. We're so used to all this stuff. And I don't think we're expecting like a big surprise every season. Aren't you? Are you expecting it? But I almost can't even finish my point now. He got so in the face. But you know what I mean? Like, we're so spoiled with like, we got to have a big reveal or this. There's going to be surprises and twists and turns. It's going to be all I want. Give me an interesting story, a compelling story. Surprises and misdirects, like people were saying, they were accusing The Last Jedi of having misdirects or whatever. I don't agree with that. I think it was a well-told story, but you've got these what am I? You know what I'm trying to say, right?
And so I think you're kind of saying what I was saying as well. In that is season 1 had its big surprises, right? It had it had Darksaber, and it had Baby Yoda. Does season 2 need surprises, right? Or are we now invested in the story? You need exciting stories, exciting episodes, but do you need a big giant oh my god situation like we had with Baby Yoda or Darksaber?
We're hooked. Honestly, all of us are gonna watch it and probably watch it more than just once, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what we do. We rewatch stuff. I'm in the process again of it's taken me forever because I have to muster up the strength to live tweet and try to be humorous about the Clone Wars random first season episodes. But I'm trying to go through a canon rewatch of that stuff. That's who we are, right? We're like we're the diehards. We watch and rewatch. We're like, this is a good story. We love it. But all you really need for those, like, the main audience is hooked, right?
Right.
They're like, okay, there's a Baby Yoda. I want to see where this goes. But then they're also, we may have stuff revealed for us because we follow stuff. Your dad, my mom, anyone who is our friend, who, like, a guy at work I know who is like, I'm really into, I've been watching The Mandalorian. He would come talk to me at my station every day at work, back when we were like running full time, and talk to me about, oh man, it's getting really good, and it was like months after it had come out. And those are the people that they're going to have surprises. Boba Fett, I think, is going, if he's in there, is going to be a big reveal for people, or they're going to be like, oh, look, that's Boba Fett, which is why I think they're going to do like a misdirect with Cobb Vanth a little bit at the beginning and blah, all that. And but anyway, it's just, I don't know. Frankly, for me, I mean, I watched Resistance unironically. I thought there were cool things in the background. It wasn't as like exciting as like Rebels or Clone Wars, but I thought it was. I'm in Star Wars,
Right.
That's what I need.
Yep.
I need Mandalorian. I want it to be set in Star Wars.
Yep.
To expand what I already know. I want to see something new.
Yep.
Give me that, like the ATST with the red eyes, and at night, like a T-Rex in Jurassic Park. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So Gannon 136, Patrick put up here. He's got a little theory here. I'm going to bring it up and we can talk about it real quick. And
let's see it.
So he says, follow my theory. Moff Gideon knows who Mando actually is by name. He has the Darksaber, which was last seen with Bo-Katan, possibly fought her to take it.
Nervous.
And who's her enemy? The Imperial Super Commandos and Gar Saxon and his brother, which ties to Sabine, who has ties to Bo-Katan. So, therefore, Moff Gideon could have had ties to Gar Saxon and his brother. Could that have been one of Moff Gideon's Star Destroyers that they blew up at Sundari in the first episodes of season 4 of Rebels? Okay, I love the theory. It is a hard sell to casual fans, but with a little bit of explanation, it works. I love where you're going with that.
Right.
And I love those connections, and it's quite possible. And let me get your thoughts on it, Gerry, before I expound.
Oh, dude, no, we're going to get the tie-in novel to that, for us. For them, they're going to be like, oh, this guy, I'm partially worried that we're going to get that Katie Sackhoff is only going to be in a flashback.
Yep.
And it's going to be a flashback of Bo-Katan.
I wouldn't worry about it. I would bet on it.
See, and
that's my personal perspective. In 3 or 4 months, we'll talk about it again. But
Night of 1,000 Tears, you don't get the name the Night of 1,000 Tears if your ruler lives and is just like, darn, he took my sword, or a laser sword. What were you going to say though?
Well, and I think
we see all those connections. I think they're just going to be like, he killed the person that had it first, who was ruling Mandalore at the time.
Right. And then
at the end of Mandalorian season 2, they're going to have Watch Rebels. at the end, you know?
Well, and it's it's exactly like I've been saying on the last couple episodes of my show and this show. Like instead of Allegiant General Pride in Rise of Skywalker, it could have been Thrawn. I would have known who he was. I would have lost my damn mind. My friend and my dad would have been like, that blue guy was pretty cool. Same thing here. You can make that connection and say you can show in a flashback Bo-Katan and Gar Saxon and all that stuff. And the normies, as you call them, will be like, that's a pretty cool little story. That's a neat backstory to that black lightsaber. That's pretty neat. Whereas you and I will be like, that's wild. Now we know more about that story, and we'll probably get it somewhere else. So,
see, they find a way, especially Filoni. Filoni finds ways to tease us, but also ease the natural people in, right? Which again, are the casual fans even watching Filoni's other stuff yet?
No, probably not. And I think that's
cartoon. It's actually pretty good. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's what's brilliant about episode 5 of Mandalorian. And look, we all joke about Toro Calican and how bad his acting was, and
not Steele. We've mentioned it a couple times already. Steele loves that man.
Steele loves that guy. But the point is that episode was so, and I think it will prove to be, we talked about this last week, we think that episode will prove to be more important as the series develops. But I think it took place on Tatooine for a very specific reason, and not just from a story standpoint, but so that you can bring in the normies who go, oh, I remember that cantina. Oh, I remember that dewback. Oh, I remember those pit droids, right? All those little things, all were enough to be like, oh yeah, I remember this stuff. So, so that's that. So, hey, listen, we could go off for days on that. We've basically gone completely off the fact that we don't have notes or scripts for the show. It's now very clear that we just wing it, and that's fine because this is a lot of fun. The one thing I do want to make sure we chat a little bit about before we hit the top of the hour is I'm going to shift gears a little bit. And join us next week. We're going to do Mando rewatch. We're going to pick up on episode 6, the Bill Burr episode. Which again, when you rewatch these, the first time around you have an impression, the second time around you think about them differently. And then I love the Mando rewatches because the conversations that we're having during them make me like, I don't hate Toro Calican as much as I did before last week, but I'm still
well, you know, Baby Yoda came out, and all of a sudden, we're all on Twitter. It seems like we were all expecting another Baby Yoda in every episode, right? It's just that's not going to happen, you know. Some of these, and it was a little more like we kind of went off to other places that felt like filler episode is a bad phrase for me. I don't believe in filler episodes, especially with Filoni. I believe in there is something that is going to come back into play, or it's just they were like, we just want to have fun, which is filler, I guess.
And I think that's the one thing we were talking before about Game of Thrones. And I think that's one thing Filoni has really been very good at, but it's always I'm a little gun shy because there were so many things, for example, in Game of Thrones that were like, oh, they did that in that episode so that it'll come back, and it never did. The difference is Mandalorian and Rebels and Clone Wars. You know, I don't know if you I'm sure you do remember when Rebels was in full gear, in full swing rather. People week to week would be like, they'd be like, oh, that was a filler episode. That episode didn't. And then, by the way, the Purgles, that was a total filler episode. Yeah, but without the Purgles, you don't get the end of Rebels, right?
Well, the freaking what were they? The episode where Sabine and Hera in the first season like land on that thing and they run into the Batman lizards,
right?
You know, which I know what they're called. They're called Fear Knocks and stuff. Which it's like that gets my brain going. How are they related to Minox or just care like you know some of these things in space? Anyway, I'm about to go down a canon junkie rabbit hole, but. Surprise! Oh, you also see a Fear Knock in the last season of Clone Wars, by the way.
Really?
In the Bad Batch.
That's right. Yes.
First episode, there's one kind of behind them as they're camping. I love that. I freaked out because at first I was like, those things look weird. They look like Batman. Like I said, it looks like Batman lizard cats.
Yes.
That came back though. They took one of the coolest episodes. They drew the Grand Inquisitor to that place and had a sweet battle. And Ezra called the bigger, cooler looking one.
Yep.
to attack him with the dark side. Like the big things happen with the don't sleep on Filoni. Filoni either does what he wants. Filoni does what he wants.
Yep.
Or Filoni he's gonna do something, later. I don't really like the AP5 singing episode where he sings as they catch thing.
I don't either, but you know what?
Scotty Jarrow loves that, by the way. I love Jedi Rocks, but Scotty Jarrow loves the singing robot. So.
You know what? The only reason I like that, and I hope it was an homage to, because I always saw AP5 very much as Marvin, the paranoid android from. My favorite books, the Hitchhiker's Guide. I always saw AP5 very much as Marvin.
Right. Well, he was very much a play on. Wasn't that voiced by, what's his name, Severus Snape? I'm sorry,
Was it voiced by him before because he passed away, right? Was he alive during that, or
Hitchhiker's Guide? Yes.
Oh, Hitchhiker's Guide. Yes. Mm-hmm. But AP5 had a very similar voice, which
Steven Stanton said very Alan Rickman. He 100% modeled it after Alan Rickman, which is perfect.
So,
anyway,
so cool. But where I wanted to go a little bit, before we let everybody go. I mean, we've been doing this for almost an hour already. This is amazing. This is what, Gerry, this is why I love having you on the show, man. Because we could just BS all night long. But we would be remiss if we didn't get to talking about the yet to be confirmed by Lucasfilm, but confirmed by Noah and Corey, Donald Glover signing on to play Lando. And what does that mean? What does that mean?
It means we're getting more Lando, which I love. And honestly, Donald Glover is, besides Billy, him and Billy D, that is Lando.
Yep.
100% they nailed it.
Yep.
And I found Donald Glover on Community long before I learned about Childish Gambino and things like that, which now he's cool and stuff. If you've watched Community, the character of Troy is hilarious. It's like he's a jock who was not smart enough to make it into a good school to play ball, and so he's at Greendale's the dumb community college and stuff, and his character is just it's a child. It is a child, and it is nothing like what Donald Glover, I believe, actually is in real life, and so that is it's off the walls. But I honestly, I believe it. And they've heard the fans, and they know that a big swatch of the fandom, swatch is the things you get with when you're trying to pick
like a sample of a carpet or something. Yes. Yeah, whereas the swath is the sort of broader
test group, right? Yeah, okay. Right. Swath, not swatch, not paint swatch. Anyway, so a large, I almost said swatch again. A bunch of us want more solo stuff, right?
Yep.
I want the Young Adventures of Han Solo. Seriously, give me a series with him and Chewie just going around the galaxy, or give me Lando. I think we're getting.
So do you think we're getting a Lando show?
Sorry,
do you think we're getting a Lando show, or do you think we're getting the Solo Chronicles and Lando's going to play a part in it? See, because here's the thing: where they left Lando and Han in Solo, in my opinion, this is just me riffing here, but Han, when he recognized that Lando was in the Bespin system, I feel like there's more that happened between the two of them other than him just winning the ship.
Thank you. I'm the same. Everyone's like, oh, so that must be what he's talking about. We're I'm sure he's forgotten about that.
Right.
No, he remembers him stealing the Falcon from him and wrecking it. I mean, that was his baby.
Right.
There's more, man. There's more. That is a friendship.
Right. So I feel like they work together. And
they were frenemies.
Yes. I feel like they were forced to work together. They were forced to do things. And so I do like, somebody put in here, Matt Harrington said Billy D needs to narrate the Lando series. If it's a Lando series, I would like,
you have Lando with an eye patch, Coach Rise of Skywalker or something, I'm making a reference to the young Indiana Jones.
Yeah. One of my favorite fan requests that I saw on Twitter, was call it a theory, but it's not really a theory. Somebody just sort of wanting something, was that the Lando series is Lando telling Jannah his story
Oh,
with Donald Glover playing him in those parts. And you could also, I mean, we did see Lando in Solo
yeah.
recording his journeys, his novel, right, his autobiography. How cool would it be to tie Rise of Skywalker to pre A New Hope with Solo and Lando? Now,
You're Scott. I almost called you Scotty because you're about to make me cry. I'm like, I'm tearing up because I'm like, that would be so beautiful to be a canon junkie.
Yeah.
Holy cow! Oh,
that would be amazing.
It's hot down here, but I feel more sweat coming on. Oh my gosh!
No, I think that would be wild. But I as great as an idea as I think that is.
Yeah.
I think what we probably got was a leak that Donald Glover signed on to be part of a Han Solo series. I think that's where they're going. I mean, because was it Aaron Reich?
Aaron Reich.
Yeah.
We just talked about it, but
correct. He just recently he didn't shoot it down. He didn't say, yeah, that was cool.
Very political.
Correct. Very much the way, we've heard other actors who end up coming back, like very, very Ewan McGregor, right? Oh, I would be interested in doing an Obi-Wan series, but it's, really? I don't know anything about it. Right.
Well, I mean, he's like, I haven't even seen the new one and stuff, which again, who cares? He could be playing us. He could be like, I don't know. I think that, why wouldn't he want to come back? Right. Well,
let's face it. He's doing what, an NBC Peacock series, right? Which I haven't watched.
I think. Oh yeah, the one based on the old sci-fi novel. Yeah. I never read it. I just looked at it recently.
Yeah, maybe. And Jonas, God bless him, is doing nothing except living in his room full of Chewbacca props.
If you listen to the episode of Resistance broadcast, excuse me, where they actually got to interview him, which was awesome for them. I'm so happy for them.
Yep.
He 100% just wants to come back as Chewbacca. Like that is all that dude wants for life.
What else is he gonna do? I mean, right. He's like Peter Mayhew
now, right? I mean, I hope he doesn't have the health complications that he does. But I mean, how lovable is Jonas Suotamo?
Oh, he's awesome. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I'm just gonna gush. I just want to give him a hug. Whenever we finally, coronavirus is over,
right?
Whenever we have it beat back and we can finally have a celebration, I'm going to give Chewbacca a hug. That is my goal for celebration. Was it 2022 now?
Yep.
2022. Yep. Good. I have more time to save up money.
That's right. Because you're going to need a lot of it because you're going to have to. I mean, geez, I was actually somewhat. Part of me was like, I'm a little disappointed we're not having celebration this year, but I don't really want to have to buy and ship back a whole crate of stuff this year. This is not the year to do it.
This has not been the year financially for anybody. Not to get into too much dark stuff, you guys come here to escape, but it's going to be even sweeter when we finally get there. That Jonas hug is going to just be even more Wookiee-like by the time I get to him. So
what's the canon junkie theory on what we're getting? First of all, how confident are you in what we're hearing? How much and what does Donald Glover being involved in this mean other than Lando coming back somewhere?
Honestly, it's kind of surprising that he is coming back because he seems like I guess I don't want to say that because there's a lot of really high profile people in Solo, right?
I know where you're going with this. He honestly, in my opinion, I thought there was no chance he was coming back, but
he's the cool guy, right?
Right. But honestly, he's not as hot a ticket as he was 2 years ago. I mean,
he needs to write another Red Bone. That's what he needs to do.
So. Right. So, but also maybe he, when you heard him talk about playing that role, he loved it so much. So maybe they made him an offer. He couldn't refuse.
Worried about it, right? Like he was talking to his mother. I remember an article talking about an interview with him said that he said his mom told him to not mess this up. That is the biggest pressure, If you let your mama down, ain't nobody gonna stand for you,
Very funny.
that he is the most surprising person. And since there's so many of these heavy rumors,
yeah.
And again, it's not coming from a Mike Zero or a Calamity douche, whatever. It lends way more credence to it. I'll tell you what I would be okay with and would like to see. It would probably be better for Disney in the long run because it's more content for them. A basically solo connected universe where you have several, like you have 3 shows. You have maybe we can kind of touch on Maul a little bit. I don't know how much you want to talk about any of that kind of stuff that went on, but if you have like a show that's like Kira and Crimson Dawn centered, you have a Lando Chronicles, which Calrissian Chronicles would be a great name for it.
Yeah. Yep.
Orlando, either way, but it's just that he had that hollow thing going. That would be he starts and ends every episode. Podcasting. That would be fantastic.
Right. He could call it Around the Galaxy. I think that would be cool.
But then have a Han and Chewie show, right?
So you made it interesting,
and then they interconnect it would be the Marvel. They have an opportunity. This is the way you do the Marvel universe in Star Wars: is you take those characters who diverged, and you do their own stories, and you have them reconnect at some point.
Yep. Yeah. Well,
that's how you do it.
And so you take the Obi-Wan series, which I think is only going to be 1 season. It's my sense that they're gonna do
limited series is what it needs to be, frankly.
Yep.
Not over 2 seasons.
And that exists at the time of the Solo series, right? So you could have that universe sort of interconnect, right? So and you could also
we have tons of people complain because we always complain how small the universe is, but I mean, why don't you want to see what Han Solo would say to Obi-Wan Kenobi prior to Orlando or whatever?
Or better yet, here's my connection. This is my weird sort of fan theory: is he only talks to Chewbacca, and they have a little memory from just from knowing Yoda and just the Jedi helping the Wookiees on Kashyyyk. He meets him, and then because I believe he meets Han Solo for the first time in the cantina. But Chewbacca here is first mate on a ship that might suit us, and he knows Chewbacca, right? So maybe they ran into each other. But somebody in here, Matt Harrington, somebody wanted to say something.
I saw that.
I was like. So look, I don't want to go into all the sordid details, but but either way, Ray Park is probably not a friend of Disney right now, right? So
no. Sorry, if I may. First off, I'm a big mental health advocate and things like that. I'm not going to excuse what he did at all.
Yep.
But we've all been locked in our houses unless you are running around and all that kind of stuff, whatever. Right. No judgment, but there's a lot of mental health stuff happening right now in our country isn't the best with handling it. And so I will say, I hope he finds the help he needs, because what he did was the move of someone who was very hurt. And that's what I'll say to start off.
Yep. So if he does fall out of the Disney family as a result of this, could you conceivably here's my thought, here's my weird little connection, and either you as Canon Junkie will be able to show me I'm wrong, and I'm sure I am, or somebody in the chat will, but they could have it happen around the Solo series, could happen around the same time that Maul was killed by Obi-Wan in the desert, and take him out of the Crimson Dawn series and have Kira take over Crimson Dawn, right? So you could, that way you're also connecting it to Rebels directly. And you can even make it some sort of offhanded comment. What happened to the old leader of Crimson Dawn? Oh, he was killed by some crazy old man in a desert.
Right.
And it's unfortunate because having Maul back was so amazing. And he really became, and it's Sam Witwer's voice. It's the character that Filoni rebirthed Maul is an amazing character, and I would hate to lose him because of Ray Park's situation. Again, whether right, wrong, or misunderstood, or seriously a horrible person, somewhere in that spectrum, I don't want to lose Maul because of that, because Maul is a character that's bigger than the multiple people who brought him to life.
Right. Well, and I mean, the voice originally, before even Solo in Phantom Menace, it was Peter Serafinowicz, or if I'm saying that name correctly.
Yep.
The guy who played the Tick in the sadly canceled Amazon Prime series, which I absolutely loved. If you haven't checked, check that. That is like
which series?
Huh?
Which series was that?
The Tick.
Oh, the Tick.
Oh, yeah. Remember the old comic? I watched the cartoon.
I love the cartoon. The City. The City.
Yeah. You got the Canon Junkie stamp of approval on. It is a great comedy, especially in the age of Marvel movies.
Yep.
Go watch that show. It's a couple seasons, and then it got canceled, sadly. But anyway, he was the voice, right? You know, the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy and all that kind of stuff. Like that the actor, when you see his face, you're like, oh, it's that, and hear his voice, you're like, that's that guy.
Yep.
But then Whitwer played him in Clone Wars, and then again he played him in a movie now, so he's official, right? You know, he's official. It's hard because I was such a fan of Ray Park. I was at Celebration. He was at Chicago when I was there.
Yep.
I never knew I would be in the same room with Ray Park. It was like a childhood dream come true, right?
Yep.
The dude has so much energy, such a friendly, nice dude, it seemed, right? It was like, oh, this dude is awesome.
Yep.
We all have our demons in the closet. Again, I am not going to say I approve of what he did, or I'm not even going to say it wasn't right. It was wrong what he did. It was illegal and wrong, regardless of how hurt he was.
Yep.
The character of Maul is bigger than Ray Park.
Agreed.
Sad to say, it's bigger than that. I frankly and honestly, Pete, we've got to get the story before he gets into Rebels.
Yep.
Because how does he get on Malachor?
Yep.
Frankly, and again, I think it's Kira is the reason he's on there, and that's going to be when we finally get that story. It's going to be that's like the only part of Maul that we don't have. We don't have the between Solo and Rebels.
Yeah, and this is why
time.
This is an illustration of why Filoni is so great, and why DisneyPlus and what we're going to get there is so important. Is because I've said it before. It was one of the reasons why I wrote my fan fiction novelization of Phantom Menace, was because I believe that Maul was the biggest wasted villain of all time, right? He was literally the background of the poster for Phantom Menace, and he was wasted as a character. Very cool, amazing fighter, looked great, sounded cool, but disappeared, came and went. And what Filoni has done by resurrecting him has made him one of the best villains in the entire Star Wars galaxy. And so to that point, I do think that I would love to get him back. So hopefully Solo 2 happens in one form or another. I think it's going to be, I think that's where they have the opportunity to build some really cool multi-series interconnected Marvel type stories. Because you can do that there as well and not have to worry about the aging of the characters and that sort of thing. You have 10 years now to cast appropriate characters and tell a good story that takes place somewhere between Rebels and into Clone Wars. So
you know what? I'm gonna jump on the and why am I blanking on his name right now? Because I just said it like 2 minutes ago. Voice of Maul.
The Whitwer,
Sam Whitwer.
Yep.
He's not just a voice actor. He is an actual actor. Like I've seen him in Dexter. I've seen him he was the actual character model in Force Unleashed.
Yep. Which I was just playing today.
Oh, nice. it's I've been playing Destroy All Humans, a game from like my not my childhood. I was graduated from high school, but I was very immature and wanted to. But anyway, the remake is great. I haven't streamed it, so I apologize. I put the thing on Twitter, and anyway, that's shut up, Jerry. But honestly, Whitwer, he's been on a lot. He was on Judgment Time. Here you go. I'll allow you to judge me because I don't care. He was the last season of Riverdale. That is a guilty pleasure show if ever I've had one.
I have not watched it.
Is melodramatic, and I love every second of it because it is like ridiculous and off the wall soap opera. What is Star Wars but a soap opera in space?
True, it's true.
But anyway, the dude has chops. He can act. And we've seen they can like put prosthesis. They can do whatever. They can CGI him to look more. They don't even have to put the makeup on him. They could just like put like Ray Park over him.
Right. Put a blue.
Honestly, they own Princess Leia and Tarkin's image. They probably own Ray Park's image.
I'm sure they do.
They don't want him exactly
right
in it.
Yes. Yep.
So
cool. Yeah, no, I agree. I think a solo story that tells us the story of the crime syndicate, the underground, that also gets us to that sort of level 1313 stuff that they've talked about, and so you can get to that and I think that's one of the things that we love about Star Wars is the underworld stuff, the crime bosses and things like that. The rebels and the Empire is a cool bigger story, but a more applicable or manageable emotional story happens at that. Say what you will about the Martez sisters, you cared whether or not they got caught by the whoever they were in debt to, right? So that's personalizing the story.
Syndicate, which was in Solo, right?
Yep. So,
well, you mentioned the Martez sisters. I got to just give a shout out to my girls. I love the Martez sisters. I'm one of the.
No, I'm with you 100% on the Martez sisters, and if for no other reason, because they were critical to Ahsoka's story as well.
Yes.
So
send all hate mail to @thescottish on Twitter. Absolutely dislike that arc, and you can go back and look at our episodes for proof. So
yes, 100%.
Throw him under the bus. Right
I will do that as well. So
all he does is talk about how much he loves me. I just talk about how much I want to throw him into the bus.
It just doesn't seem right. So speaking of Scotty, let's wrap up here. We have you have a new Bombad coming tomorrow. Tell us a little bit about tomorrow's show.
Yes, and it will actually premiere tomorrow, as far as I've heard. I know we had a little bit of our hiccup last week. We apologize for that, but thank you guys for just being like. For being, lack of a better term, for being Bombad.
Bombad.
Really appreciates it as well.
Well, I feel like we're in a bit of a sort of a Bombad revolution here on the Beyond the Blasters Network, because you guys have an episode tomorrow. A couple of weeks ago, Scotty was my guest, and Tuesday's episode of Around the Galaxy is my 75th episode, and I am the guest, and Scotty from Bombad Cast is playing my part, and he's interviewing me, and it's a phenomenal, fun hour and 45 minutes that goes places that I'm not sure that people want to listen to, but it's a lot of fun. But so
listen to the Bombad Cast or watch, especially last week's episode that was late,
right?
Which explains a lot about why it was late, honestly. You will see, that I think they'll understand, Pete, where it could go, possibly. There's no telling. So
it really is. You just never really know. So, well, Gerry, we could have gone on for another hour with this show because there were so many topics, but I think we had a lot of fun going off topic, which was great. It was I think it was good. I hope people in the chat had a lot of fun. But so just remind people, Bombad Cast is on Saturdays. Every Saturday, you guys drop a new episode.
Every Saturday, or unless we, do a trial episode where we absolutely test the patience of a guest, which is why if you saw, we had we're bringing Jared the Dark Jedi back on, because that after that episode, we were like, Scotty immediately after we stopped was like, I'm so sorry, I had to go with that bit, and we're like, we're gonna have you on. We are talking Kylo Ren, which is and Ben Solo. We are unearthing that conversation tomorrow, so do not miss it. But we'll see if we're still part of the network after tomorrow. I'm just kidding.
I'm sure you will be. I'm sure you will.
Scotty to be Halo. So we'll see.
And speaking of the network, we do have other shows. There's streaming Star Wars. There's Bombay Cast, the two of us here. On Mondays, you get Holo Chronicles. Tuesdays, you get Around the Galaxy, if you want to hear my voice again. On Wednesdays, we get Postcards from the Galaxy's Edge with the wonderful Shannon Moran. And then Thursday nights, we are trying to bring you a regular live Star Wars news show every week with David Emilotti doing Beyond the Blast Doors live. So that's kind of what we've been doing with our lives over the last couple of weeks. So
David, as a newsman, has been the busiest, I think, of all of us during the. I mean, look at the world around us, and that man is like burning the candle at both ends and even in the middle. So that man's heart. Send him some encouragement and stuff, guys, because he's a great guy. We're so happy that we're a part of the network with him. So
awesome.
If I may, real quick, I'm sorry.
You may. You absolutely may.
We get. I think it is way up there in the chat. I think it was Jacob's Quest. If you're still on there, was it hashtag Mechanips? Can we get hashtag Mechanips started? And if there is a Mechanips parody account started, it's all yours. That's fine.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago it was Truck Nuts, and this week it's Mecha Nips. So
when you have me on, you're gonna have some crude body part talked about. Also, gonna go off topic, but I hope again you guys have enjoyed it. And thank you so much, Pete, for having me on.
Thank you for trying. This was an absolute blast. I love talking Star Wars with you, and love talking Disney Star Wars every Friday night live here with all the good folks in the chat. Those in the chat, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tweet it, post it, buy a billboard. I don't know.
Send it to your grandma.
Yeah, right.
What's everyone doing these days? Are they going to Walmart in their mask? No, just send them an invite.
Right. Just go and watch a podcast. I think you'll be happier. Gerry, thank you so much, man. We'll do this again very soon.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on, Pete. Guys, have a good night. Stay Bombay.
For over 40 years, Star Wars has been a part of our culture, a part of our lives, and a part of who we are. Now there's one place with something for every type of Star Wars fan. The Beyond the Blast Doors Network. From the latest in Star Wars news.
A great day, an exciting day here on the YouTube channel.
To collectibles.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah,
beautiful.
How much you want for it?
Interviews with creators.
If you want your book to feel necessary, it has to deliver some insight or some piece of information that you didn't get anywhere else.
Famous fans.
Yeah, and it's like all there's a yeah. That's great.
Fan documentaries.
This moment, like the Force awakened in Rey, but it also awakened something in me.
And great conversation with casual and hardcore fans alike.
I've seen a lot of things end up on the cutting room floor that I'm like, oh.
The Beyond the Blast Doors Network was made for you. New content nearly every day of the week on video and podcast. There's something for every fan. Visit BeyondTheBlastDoors.com and on YouTube search Beyond the Blast Doors.
Oh, look, next video, me, right? Yeah. So, are there videos that play on other people's things? Like, are there things in the circles and square, rectangles whenever they? Because I never see them on mine. I can't hear you.
There we go. All right. Awesome.